Hi, welcome to our presentation on the invisibility of corrections in literature databases and tools. My name is Wytske Hepkema, and together with Frédérique Bordignon and Willem Halffman, I work in an Annables project, which is funded by the ERC. Thank you for joining our presentation. In my PhD project, I focus on the topic of correction in science, and one of the ways to correct scientific knowledge is to correct the scientific literature. There are many ways of doing this, which include retractions, expressions of concerns, and also corrections. While retractions have been studied quite a lot in the scientometrics community and sociology of science communities, both the effect of retractions and also the visibility of retractions, corrections have been studied much less. And that is why we focus on corrections and actually the corrected papers. Because if the aim of a correction is that the reader actually sees the correction and sees that something has changed about the article or something might be wrong with the article, then it all relies on the reader actually seeing this notice. Therefore, we look at the corrected paper. So we ask, are readers of the scientific literature likely to see the correction notice when they find a scientific article? And to answer this question, we tested a corpus of a bit over 3,000 corrected articles in various literature databases and tools. I'm now going to skip over the methods a bit and immediately jump into the results. But if you want to know more about the methods, please visit our poster or find me via email if you're watching this after the conference. So the majority of the databases and tools that we looked at do not communicate corrections on the page of the corrected paper. So this includes some of the larger databases like Web of Science and Dimensions. Also, reference software does not communicate this. So the majority of these do not, but there are some that do. So PubMed, Scopus, and Cite do communicate corrections on the page of the corrected paper, and of course also the original source. So I went to the page of the publisher, the journal's website. So the majority does not communicate corrections. What about those that do? What does that look like? Well, they communicate this for nearly all the articles that are in a corpus. So Cite is really very close to 100%, but also PubMed, Scopus, and the original source are all well above 90% of the articles, but not for all articles. So let's see what do these correction warnings, this communication, what does it look like? For the purpose of this presentation, I blurred the specific articles because it's not so much about which article got corrected, but it's about how this is communicated. So on the right side, you see the Cite browser extension, and Cite is meant to give information about how a paper is cited. And the icon completely on the bottom, the pencil with the number 2 behind it, indicates that this article has 2 corrections. But you need to have the Cite browser extension installed to see this. And also you need to know that this pencil means that there's a correction. And with the free version of Cite, you cannot click on this information and then go to the correction notice. So you do get a slight warning if you have the browser extension that the paper is corrected, but you're not seeing the content of the correction notice itself. And for PubMed and Scopus is what you're seeing right here. This link does exist, and also the warning is relatively big. It's within the same layout style and colors, I would say, as a normal web page. So it's in blue for both of them, but it's relatively big and noticeable, which is quite similar for some of the publishers. So MDPI has a very warningly orange block that warns you that there's a correction. You can also click on the notice. But so for some publishers, this is different. So you can see here, you might need to look for a moment before you spot it, also depending on how big the screen is you're watching this on. But it says view correction right underneath the offers, and it's in the same colors as that the offers are portrayed, which I blurred out. So this is not a reader might miss that there is a correction to this paper. And the same is true for this article published by Wolters and Kluwers, which does have a warning that it has an erratum, and you can also click on the erratum to actually go to the notice, but it's quite small and within the same color scheme as the rest of the page, so it's not all that visible. So what do we conclude from this? Well, first we conclude that the majority of the literature tools and databases do not communicate corrections on the page of the corrected articles. Those that do it for the large majority, over 90% of the articles, but not for all of them. And if they do it, this communication varies a lot and is not always that clear. So I hope I interested you a bit. And if you want to know more, please do find us. And I hope to meet you there. Bye.